So, for the first 3 cards in our 40 card deck, we have triple Rainbow Over King of the Dark World. He was the main card in the revamped Dark World structure deck, and he is pretty incredible and follows the trend that isn't once per turn, meaning you can use his effects as many times as you can, basically, which is phenomenal. He's a level 8, which actually does come up in combination with our Grapha, because him, Grapha, and a couple of our danger monsters allow us to effectively spam a bunch of rank 8 Xyz monsters. So what does he do? He has the effect similar to Grapha in terms of you can special summon this card by returning one level 7 or lower Darkworld monster you control to the hand, meaning how you usually loop him with Grapha is you always bounce the Dark World monster with this card first, and then Grapha will bounce him back to your hand. If you do it the other way, he will be unable to bounce Grapha, and you'll lose out in one extra card in your hand for discards. If he is discarded to the graveyard by a card effect, which is very easy, very easy in this deck, you can add one level 5 or higher Dark World monster from your deck to your hand. Then, if he was discarded by your opponent, you can special summon a level 4 or lower Dark World monster from your deck or graveyard to either field. So both effects are incredible. None of them are once per turn. It's going to be kind of rare to get the opponent discard effect. However, you're going to be looping his discard effect, grabbing yourself either your Grapha or grabbing yourself your copies of Silver to basically establish the hand loop, which is what we're going to be aiming for. For a 2 of, we have the OG Grapha Dragon Lord of the Dark World. He is still very good because he allows you to infinitely bounce Dark Worlds back to your hand, maintaining a very big hand advantage, which is good when you have stuff like the danger monsters, means they're more likely to, resolve and not get sniped in the hand. And what does Grapha do? If he is discarded, he simply targets a card your opponent controls and destroys it. So he's very good going second. Going first, the targeted destroy isn't obviously going to come up nearly as much. Also, if he was discarded from your hand by an opponent's card effect, you can look at one random card in the opponent's hand and special summon it if it was a monster. Again, doesn't really come up too often, but it's nice that it's there, to be honest with you. For another 3 of, we have triple Genta Gateman of the Dark World. He's one of the newer ones, and he's really good. You can special summon Genta once per turn. That is important because when he is banished, he will return. You can discard this card to the graveyard, add one the Gates of Dark World from your deck to your hand. So he adds the field spell, and that isn't once per turn, by the way. Only the summon is. So if you open 3, you can get 3 Gates of the Dark World super easily. And he's just a level 4 as well, which comes up as you get a free level 4 body. When you use the field spell effect to discard and banish one, you always banish the Genta, draw a card, and then Genta will return, and you have a free level 4, which actually allows you to get into your Dugaris or your Abyss Dweller plays, which is very nice. For the last 3 of, we have triple Snow Unlight of the Dark World, another level 4 monster. What does she do? If she's discarded by card effect, you simply add a Dark World card from your deck to your hand, and if she was discarded by an opponent, you can target one monster in your opponent's graveyard and special summon that target as well. So all the Dark Worlds get those bonus effects if discarded by an opponent. However, they have their main effects, which is when just discarded in general, and this one is the Rota on a non-once per turn, so that is reason enough to play 3 of her. She's really good at basically fixing your hand and getting the hand loop going. Double Silver Warlord of the Dark World in combination with our one Ceruli, Guru of the Dark World. This is the hand loop base package, basically. What do we do with Silver and Ceruli? Well, we'll summon Ceruli to our opponent's field, get Ceruli to activate, making our opponent discard Silver from our hand, triggering Silver to hand loop our opponent for 2 cards. And none of those are once per turn, so we can effectively do it twice, and then triple tactics them for the last card in hand, doing a full hand loop while setting up negates and interruption. Let me go over quickly the individual effects. So Silver, when discarded, is going to special summon itself. However, if discarded by an opponent, not only does it special summon itself, but it forces your opponent to place 2 cards from their hand to the bottom of the deck in any order, which is incredible. So really, what does it do? If discarded by a card effect, it special summons itself to the opponent's field, and when it's special summoned, it makes the opponent basically discard 1 card from their opponent's hand, which is you, and you discard your Silver, and then silver triggers and you hand loop them, which is absolutely phenomenal, to be honest with you. And in my opinion, if they're going to give Dark Worlds new support, like I mentioned in the intro, maybe ban Ceruli, because why enable hand loops? I don't think that should be a thing. However, going first, you have a very good chance of hand looping your opponent and just winning the game. So that is what Dark Worlds do, and it's probably one of the better ways to FTK, if you can even call it that, your opponent by just hand looping them. For the normal summon engine, triple again the Dragon Tiger. Many people don't play him anymore, and I understand that it is a heavy hand trap format, but to be honest, if they're wasting a hand trap on this guy, they're not wasting a hand trap on something else that is more important than Gen. And if Gen resolves, you have an incredible effect there. So what does he do? Well, on normal, he's basically going to special summon Ken from your deck or hand to the opponent's field in defense position, and that works really well with Ken, because Ken, which I'll place here, basically, when he's summoned, will make your opponent draw 2 cards and discard 1. So when he summons your opponent's side of the field, you're going to get that effect. If you draw the Ken and you normal summon him, you'll special summon Gen, and Gen will give the effect that essentially, if he is special summoned, you basically discard 1 card. So you discard 1 card from your opponent's hand as well. So both of them are good. Obviously, you want the Gen more than the Ken, because the Gen will not only get you draws, but it will also discard, which will trigger your Dark Worlds. And for the last card here, I believe he's called Salamander Catalyzer. I will proxy him on the screen. He is a level 4 Fiend Extender. You reveal him and you either discard him or a Fiend monster in your hand and you special summon the other. That's effectively what he does. And he's level 4, so he's very useful for level 4 pushes. Moving on to the Danger package. This is again where some builds differ on the amount of dangers played. I like double Nessie, because Nessie is one of those dangers that even if it is hit in your hand, it will basically go plus, because it will just add a different danger from your deck to your hand and you get to go again. However, all the dangers share the effect that they reveal themselves in your hand, then basically unreveal themselves. The opponent chooses 1 card in your hand at random, and then if it wasn't the danger monster that was revealed, they special summon and draw a card. So you got a bunch of Pot of Greed bodies, which is really nice. We have double Mothman, because Mothman in this deck is incredibly good. He has the typical summon effect to draw a card. However, if he is sniped from your hand, he will basically make both players draw 1 card and discard 1 card, which is incredible in a deck like Dark World. We play a couple one-offs. We have 1 Danger Thunderbird, 1 Danger Bigfoot, 1 Danger Chupacabra, and I'll explain what they do very quickly. So Thunderbird is a MST if it is discarded, Bigfoot is a monster pop, and Chupacabra is a monster reborn for danger monsters, level 4, and both of these are level 8, so those are very important for your Xyz plays. Note that Chupacabra is also a fiend, so it can be banished with stuff like the Gates of the Dark World as well. And I think this danger package is very, very strong, especially when going second. It's good to have some cards that are naturally good, because you're not going to be going second all the time. Going first, you're going to try and hand loop. Going second, you've got to break a board and OTK, and that's where the Danger Thunderbird and Bigfoot come in very, very nice. And for the last 2 dangers, 1 Danger Jackalope and 1 Danger Tsuchinoko. These are incredible danger cards. Jackalope specials 1 danger from your deck if discarded, and Tsuchinoko will summon itself if discarded. So Tsuchinoko will always be a summon, either with a draw or just a special summon from grave, whereas Jackalope will be a special summon from deck. So I think this combination of dangers is extremely strong. I believe we play 9 of them, and I think 9 of them is a good amount where you're going to be seeing them, and even if you see multiple of them, the summon and draw effect isn't once per turn, so even if you open double Nessie, you can just use both Nessie. The only thing that is once per turn about the dangers is their discarded effect. That is it for the monsters. As you can see, there are quite a few. Let's now move on into the supporting spells and traps. So triple the Gates of Dark World, a non-once per turn field spell that not only gives an attack boost, but allows you to discard a fiend and draw a card. Yes, please. And it's searchable with the Genza. Double of the Dark Corridor. I would play more. Sadly, this is one of the only Dark World cards. Well, it's not even a Dark World card because it's called Dark Corridor, so you can't search it with your Snow. It is a hard once per turn, meaning if you open double of the Corridor, you can only use 1, which is big sad. But what does it do? It adds a Dark World monster from your deck to your hand, and then you discard 1 card. So absolutely incredible. This is any Dark World that you want, and the discard, which is phenomenal. For the one-offs, 1 of the fusion spell, Dark World Ascension, and 1 of the continuous spell, Dark World Archives. Dark World Ascension is a fantastic fusion spell, one of the best I've seen in a while. During the main phase, fusion summon a fiend monster by banishing materials mentioned on it from your field or graveyard. If fusion summoning a Dark World monster, you can discard monsters as material from your hand, which is unbelievable. And then during the main phase, if this card is in the graveyard, you can add this card to your hand and discard a Dark World monster. So with the one fusion spell that is searchable, we can get 2 fusions out, which is incredible. And the 1 Dark World Archives. Archives is essentially a way to discard extra Dark Worlds while drawing cards and giving an attack boost, which is why we play it. For the only, power spells here, something that isn't to do with Dark Worlds or discarding, double of the triple tactics thrust with the 1 triple tactic talent. This is an incredible package in this deck because remember, we're going to be giving our opponent monsters and forcing them to activate the effects, meaning that thrust will always get the add to hand, and we can add talents and hand rip them for another card, which is phenomenal. And we have the 1 card destruction and the 1 called by the grave. Card destruction is just a way to loop your hand basically while getting them discarded for free, and call by the grave is basically a little bit of protection from hand traps. The deck is very hand trap resilient. If you open a good hand, honestly, they can hand trap you like 3, 4, 5 times and it won't matter because you'll have the infinite loops. There's other hands where a shifter and you're done, or 1 good hand trap in a choke point and you're done. You got to be really careful with that. So I think having 1 call by the grave at least gives you some protection to that. So that is the main deck. It is 40 cards. Let's quickly go on into the extra deck. Starting with the extra deck, we're not playing any high-level Link Fiend monsters because I don't feel the need, to be honest for you, for the Nightmare Griffin. Some builds do play it, and I do think it's a lot better post-siding because you can mill the Eradicator Epidemic Virus and then reset it from the graveyard. So maybe that is something to consider. However, if you're going first, you're going for a hand loop. If you're going second, you're looking for an OTK. So I've built the extra deck according to that. So we actually start off with a Link 3 in the Nightmare Unicorn, because not only does it discard a card, however, it is for cost, so you got to be careful what you put there. It basically targets a card in the field and shuffles it into the deck, and if it was co-linked, you draw 1 card. Let's just combine it with the other nightmares that we play. We play the 1 Cerberus and the 1 Phoenix, because again, not only is this very good utility when going second, we can actually co-link things, and when we're Fiend locked, we can almost go for a U-link with this combination of cards. We play 1 Muckcracker from the Underworld. This is a monster reborn, and the discard isn't cost, meaning it will trigger your Dark Worlds, which is phenomenal. It does lock you into the Fiend archetype, so just be careful with that. If you go for this, you're not going to be going for any danger plays. You're not going to be going for any cool Link shenanigans because you are now Fiend locked. We have 1 Cross Sheep, which in combination with the Dark World field spell gives us a free level 4 body, so why not play it? We have the 1 Akashic Magician. This is how we bounce back our Ceruli from our opponent's field, because we'll always summon it underneath an extra monster zone. Summon Akashic Magician, bounce back the Ceruli, and then discard the Ceruli again, giving it to our opponent, discarding a 2nd silver, hand looping them for 4 cards. So we play the Akashic Magician for that reason. The 1 SP Little Knight. There's going to be a lot of times where we leave a body on our opponent's field, and during the combo we can make an SP Little Knight and just get rid of it. So not only are we hand looping them, we're going to make sure the monsters we give them don't actually stick onto the field and we can easily remove them, which is another bonus of playing the Nightmare Unicorn. We have double of the Grapha Dragon Lord of the Dark World. We play 2 because if they out 1, we'll always have the fusion spell to make another. Card's really good. It's basically an Omni Negate for monster effects, normal spells, or normal traps. By changing the effect to your opponent discards 1 card, which is obviously very good in a Dark World deck. And if it is outed, you can special summon 1 Grapha that is either in your graveyard or is banished, and then you basically, each player discards 1 card as well, which again could immediately trigger the Grapha to get a pop, which is really nice. For the Xyz monsters, 1 Coach King Giant Trainer. This is not only how we just draw an insane amount of cards, as it's thrice per turn. This is our win in time as well. It takes 3 level 8 monsters. You detach material from this card, draw a card, reveal it. Then if it was a monster, you inflict 800 damage to your opponent. You can't conduct your battle phase the turn you activate this effect, but that's fine because we're going to be using it going first anyway. And that is a thrice per turn effect, meaning those 3 materials turn into 3 draws and a potential of 2,400 burn damage, which is actually pretty big, especially if you are going second or they've burnt you. You can get that extra bit of damage on board in time, which is really nice. We have the 1 number 38 Hope Harbinger. This is our spell negates. It just takes 2 level 8 monsters. We have the number 22 Zombie Stein. This is our anything negate, but we can negate evenly matched and stuff like that with this card. It takes 2 level 8 Dark Monsters, which is basically our entire deck. In terms of whatever level 8 we have, it's basically dark. And on a quick effect, you can detach material, send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard, target a face-up card your opponent controls, and negate it by changing this to defense. And it has 4,500 attack, which is absolutely insane. So you can negate stuff like evenly matched, negate stuff like thrust, negate stuff like Dark Ruler No More. If you just chain your quick play spell and then you chain the Zombie Stein, you can negate Dark Ruler No More. So it has a bunch of useful utility. We play number 1 Infection Buzz King. We mainly play this not only because it's good going first to look out into our opponent's extra deck to sort of see what they're playing and what hand traps they may have. It is a Fiend, so even if we are Fiend locked, we can make a rank 8 Xyz, which is the Infection Buzz King, and going second it becomes even better because we can pop cards on the field, and it's just really nice basically. For the rank 4s, I've been hammering on about him all profile. The number 62 Garrus, the Timeless, 2 level 4 monsters. He's a Fiend. And you can detach your materials and activate one of these 3 effects. You draw 2 cards and discard 1. Do I have to say why that's good? And you skip your draw phase. You can special summon 1 monster from your graveyard and then skip your main phase 1. Skip the battle phase of your next turn and double the attack of 1 monster you control until the end of the turn. This and a Zombie Stein is 9k damage just by the Zombie Stein hitting directly, which is incredible. And for the last card, we have the 1 Abyss Dweller. Just say no to those graveyard heavy decks. And our Dark World monsters that return, basically Dark World monsters to the hand. So I'm talking about the Grapha or the Overlord, don't activate. They just summon and bounce, which is amazing because they actually work under the Dweller. So that is the end of this Dark World deck profile. Please do let me know what you think in the comments. I know a lot of you have been asking me for a while now to have this Dark World deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope I did not disappoint. Reasoning why I don't play the OG Rainbow is that he's a brick. Yes, the Fusion Colorless is very good. However, as I said, we are going to be going for hand loops or board breaking, which in that case, Colorless is only good for one of those things, which is going second, and we have to play a brick for it, which doesn't do anything if we discard it. It doesn't do anything relevant. Dark World has been rumored to be getting a bunch of support. I heard it's going to get a new fusion monster and a new link. None of that is confirmed. However, there have been some serious leaks happening recently. So keep your eye out for Dark World. Maybe pick up the deck if you looking to play into it, because it looks like it's going to be getting a ton better with a bunch of support. I'm Rogue here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.
It's time! Let's go!